flesh this morning after 2 snow Sundays in a row. Must be some kind of record. I don't know if we have an archivist who can confirm that, but it's been a while since we've been able to gather here in this sanctuary, and it's so good to be together. Kit and Gwendolyn are up here as well because today we are, and they're so we're offering an all-ages service. We're offering an intentionally intergenerational service today.
Yes, hopefully we're going to try a few of these this winter as a way of recognizing that worship is not just something for grown-ups, and it's for all ages, right? So we wanted to say this morning, good morning, welcome to church. In whatever volume your soul is today. So kids, you are welcome to hang out with your families the whole time. If you wanted to come up forward now, you can. You can also hang out with your family, so it's up to you. And there's going to be a lot of ways to be involved for kids and grown-ups of all ages. Our theme this month has been living the questions. And what do we do when we have a question sometimes, like in school or something? Yeah, we might raise our hand. So why don't we all just try that to get the spirit of inquisitiveness in our bodies? Right, and it kind of looks like we're greeting each other. I like that. Maybe there's some dual meaning there. And one of the reasons kids are so important is because they are full of good questions. Good, meaty, juicy, curious questions that help make our world better. And so you'll notice we have some beautiful colors bedecking our pulpit this morning with some ribbons that Laura brought to life for us. And already there are some questions decorating our pulpit. Nate, you want to read a couple of them, or you can get to them? Yeah.
I'm going to save most of them for my sermon, but just imagine how good and curious they all are. And we also want you to participate, right? So we want to invite everyone who's here this morning to be thinking of a question. And if something pops into your head during a musical piece, during one of the hymns we sing, we have little circles up here. And are they invited to just come up and write it down?
You are. You can also come to it afterwards, too. And then you'll find a place to add it to the pulpit.
Add it to those beautiful ribbons. So we have 5 or 6 up here. We'd love to fill up the whole tapestry by the time our service is over this morning. I want to offer a special thanks to everyone who makes the First Parish tick so smoothly despite weather and all the other interruptions that life brings, to our ushers and our hospitality team, to our care team and our caring cooks, making God's love so real behind the scenes each week, to Deanna Johnson this morning, who's filling in on our offertory with her beautiful flute music. Lucian and Benson Packenow, we're hoping to play a piece then. They're down with the flu this morning, like some other kids, and we look forward to their music at a future Sunday. These beautiful altar flowers were given by Cynthia Liebman to celebrate the 90th birthday of her Hugo. Cynthia and Hugo join us faithfully every Sunday up in Vermont. Happy birthday, Hugo! And a big greeting to everybody else who's with us online this morning as well. A special hello if you happen to be visiting with us. One of the ministers would love to chat with you after our service. So kids, one thing that I've been thinking about in these times especially is the way this church, the First Parish in Lincoln, began. Some of you might know that for about 100 years in this community, there were actually 2 churches, one up the hill and one right down here, 2 different congregations. And then in 1942, about 80 years ago now, these 2 churches decided to come together. They decided that despite their differences, they were actually stronger and better as one. And we try to continue that tradition of coming together under a big spiritual tent, under a tradition of respecting our diversity, but also seeking unity. It's not an easy thing to do, but it is our honor and our job in this space each and every week. And so we welcome you this morning. whoever you are, however young or young at heart you feel, however you name the sacred, whatever your sexuality, whatever your gender identity, because of your unique self, this body is more complete. Let us rise now in body or spirit as we join our voices in the opening words, which you can find in your bulletins. And we also wanted to say we prepared a special bulletin for all the kids who are in our midst this morning. And hopefully those were passed out as you made your way in. And if you don't have one and you'd like to find one, they should be in the back. So let's join our voices in our opening words. We come to spiritual community from many paths and with diverse needs. If you have come here seeking comfort, may your pain be soothed. If you have come here looking for answers, may you find new questions. If you have come here seeking purpose, may your call be awakened. If you have come here hoping to build a new way, may the path open before you.
Kids, we're going to have a time for all ages, so come on forward if you would like to join us. Come on to the steps or to this area up here. You can do it from your seat too if you prefer, but we'd love to have some folks up with us. Good morning. Hey, Emery. Hey, friends. Hey, Becca. Has everyone had a good school vacation week? Yeah, it's so good to see your faces. We just got back from a trip ourselves. I'm going to grab this microphone. I'm going to move this out of the way, Gigi, so it's not in your way, sweetheart. Hey, everybody. So, as Nate and I were saying, we're talking about really good questions today. And some of you all, your parents may have asked you to share some questions that you might hear later on. And a lot of questions that come from kids come back to a sort of a big question, which is like, why, right? If you ever spent time with a 2-year-old, why? but why? And it's kind of one of those bottomless questions, right? You can give an answer and you say, well, because it's breakfast time. Why? Because we need to eat food to be strong. Why? And it's kind of bottomless because you can keep asking, right? Like, well, why do we need to grow strong? Well, why do we exist at all? Well, why is there anything in the world instead of nothing at all? Do you know? I don't know. Our 1-year-old Felix just learned how to say, I don't know. I don't know. So there are lots of stories about why anything exists at all. Sometimes they're called creation stories. Why was everything created, including everything we can see out those windows and all these faces we can see inside the windows and every one of you with all your 10 fingers and 10 toes. So Laura and I are going to read one creation story, but we need your help, okay? So if you happen to have your order of service and you want to grab something to draw with, and if not, Laura, would you mind grabbing a couple more? So, because when we read this together, we're going to ask if you'd like that you could start drawing what you hear or be inspired by something. And that goes for all you grown-ups out there too. If you hear something, if you want to doodle in the edges, if you can find something to write with, go for it. We encourage that. Okay, so here's a story about why everything is or how. And this comes from an Aboriginal creation story from Australia. Anybody watch Bluey? Yeah. From Down Under. All right, let's listen for the Spirit to speak through this story. When the earth was newborn, like a baby, it was plain and without any features or life. There were no rivers or mountains, no grasses, only flat red earth as far as the eye could see, except there were no eyes yet for seeing. Waking time and sleeping time were the same. There were only hollows on the surface of the earth, which one day would become water holes, and around the water holes were the ingredients of life.
Underneath the crust of the earth were the stars in the sky, the sun and the moon, as well as forms of life, all sleeping. All the tiniest details of life were present, yet not awake or alive. The head feathers of a cockatoo, the thump of a kangaroo's tail, the gleam of an insect's wing, the rustle of eucalyptus leaves in the wind.
A time came when time itself split apart, and sleeping time was separated from waking time. Cock-a-doodle-doo. This moment was called the dream time. At this moment, everything started to burst into life.
The sun rose through the surface of the earth and shone warm rays onto the hollows, melting the ice, which became water holes. Under each water hole lay an ancestor, an ancient man or woman who had been asleep through the ages. The sun filled the bodies of each ancestor with light and life, and the ancestors began to give birth to children. Their children were all the living things of the world, from the tiniest little grub wriggling on a leaf to the broadest winged eagle soaring in the blue sky.
Can I see some grubs wriggling on leaves or eagles soaring in the sky? I see a grub. I'm gonna be an eagle. See if you can stretch out your wings. Rising from the water holes, the ancestors stood up with mud falling from their bodies. As the mud slipped away, the sun opened the ancestors' eyelids. Can anybody find the sun this morning? Let's take a look. They saw the creatures they had made from their own bodies. Each ancestor gazed at their creation in pride and wonderment. Each ancestor sang out with joy, "I am." One ancestor sang, go Everybody look over there. I am a kangaroo. Another saying, I am a cockatoo. The next saying, I am a honey ant. It's so small we can't see it. And the next saying, I am lizard. There he is, there he is. As they sang, naming their own creations, they began to walk. Their footsteps and their music became one, calling all living things into being and weaving them into life with song. The ancestors sang their way all around the world. They sang the rivers to the valleys and the sand into dunes, the trees into leaf, and the mountains to rise above the plain. And as they walked, they left a trail of music.
Then they were exhausted. They had shown all living things how to live, and they returned to the earth itself to sleep. We don't see them, but they are still present in every sacred place. Their music still hums throughout the world.
All right. If you can help those creatures make their way maybe to the center table near the beautiful flowers, which are part of creation, just as beautiful as each and every one of you. And if you see these circles, we mentioned this at the beginning, if you have a question, it could just be why, or how, or anything that this story brings up for you. Feel free to add a question to our beautiful ribbons on your way back to your seat. And on the way, we're gonna sing. Thank you, kids, for helping us tell that story.
Hey everybody, all of you could stand up please, because we're gonna sing. You've gotta hold everybody up. And we did this 3 weeks ago. It feels like 8 dogs year ago, before all the snow. So hopefully all of you remember how this goes. And kids, can you help the grown-ups feel they're gonna lift everybody up, but when we sing, hold everybody up, 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 can you do that? Up, up. You'll catch on as soon as we get there. And this time, all of you get to sing the verses with the choir. So then you will need your bulletins. We gotta hold everybody. We gotta hold everybody up. We gotta hold everybody. We gotta hold everybody up. Hold everybody up. Up, 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 up. You look like you, and I look like me. Doesn't mean we can't be friends. You're not my enemy. We gotta hold everybody. We gotta hold everybody up. We gotta hold everybody. We gotta hold everybody up. Hold everybody up. Up, up. Hold everybody up. Up, up. Hold everybody up. Up, up. Hold everybody up. All around the world, sometimes feels so sad. A little on the shoulder there, but things don't seem so bad. Hold everybody, we gotta hold everybody up. We gotta hold everybody, we gotta hold everybody up. Hold everybody up, up, up. Hold everybody up, up, up. Hold everybody up, up, up. Hold everybody up.
Now it's time to settle down. We come now to the time in our service that we set aside for silent and spoken prayer. To prepare ourselves, remaining seated, we'll sing the third verse of the Blue Boat Home. It's in your bulletin.
So kids and everyone else, now is the time when we continue in prayer in our service by lifting up those people and those places that we're thinking about this morning. Sarah and I will make our way around with the microphones, and we would love to hear from anybody, whatever your age is this morning, with a prayer. For what and for whom are we praying this morning?
Let us hold in our hearts Jack Pugh, a stalwart of this church, someone who flew beneath the radar a lot of the times, but he was always here. After May Market, after the touch of Christmas, he was in the back, counting all the money, making sure it was correct to the penny. He was an extraordinary man. And please keep him and his wife, Julie, in our hearts today.
Just a prayer of gratitude for all the prayers for my father over the past couple of years. He did pass away about 10 days ago. His services are this week. So I'd just like to thank everybody for the support during this time.
I'm praying for the friends and family of Carell Blakely, who was a teacher at Lemoyne College and a wonderful soul, but was lost too soon. So maybe a prayer for all of us who have lost teachers who have been important to us.
I'd like to offer a prayer for our precious country. May all people and all species be safe and cherished. Amen.
I'm going to say a prayer for my nephew Douglas Town, who's in a ventilator in Maine Medical Center with influenza A and many other issues, and I'm hoping that he comes through it.
I'd like to say a prayer for the American people on whom our government seems to be waging war.
I pray for those families trying to get home to their homes that no longer exist. I pray for everyone who is being threatened with deportation. I pray for people who have no recourse in their lives to fight for justice.
I'm holding in prayer all those federal workers who have lost their jobs and are figuring out what's next. And I shared 2 prayers from Gwendolyn. Thank you, God, for food. And from Zoe, thank you, God, for warm houses.
A prayer for the people of Congo living under siege and threats of violence. May they be safe, may their needs be met, and may an end to the violence come swiftly. We lift up all of these prayers of our community, both those that have been spoken aloud and those that we hold in the silence of our hearts. Amen.
Spirit of life, Spirit of love, the Spirit that lies within us and all around us, enter into our hearts this morning. Spirit, I have so many questions. Some are small, many are big. Why is it, for example, that whenever I go away in search of snow, it finally snows in Lincoln? Didn't I learn the lesson from Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz about the importance of home in fulfilling our heart's desire? There's no place like home. And I do know that home, this sacred community, this sanctuary, gives me comfort and strength to face the enormous questions facing our country that cloud most of my waking thoughts. As a lifelong environmental scientist, I wonder, what has happened in this country to the love of truth? What has happened to what used to be our shared bipartisan commitment to clean water and air, to cherishing the living earth? Even as we may not understand or fully accept our differences in who we are or where we come from, how can we not respect the dignity of every human being? How can we as a country be faithful not only to the vision of Jesus, but to those of so many other prophets if we don't? Spirit, what can we do in the face of these seemingly intractable problems? There's no place like home. But Spirit, help us to remember that it was in leaving home, swept into the vortex of the tornado, that Dorothy changed the lives of everyone she met. It was her faith in each of her unusual friends that she helped the Cowardly Lion to find his courage. The Tin Man to find his heart, and the Scarecrow to find his brain. Not to mention that she also defeated the evil Witch of the West. In the midst of the chaos of our own times, guide us out of our own comfort zones. Help each of us to make a difference in small ways or large by remaining faithful to our values and to our commitment to the service for all. Amen. Okay, let's see, what are we doing now? Let's join now together in saying our offertory prayer. Unison prayer. Jeez, I'm really out of it. Okay. Praying by Mary Oliver. It doesn't have to be the blue iris. It could be weeds in vacant lot, or a few small stones. Just pay attention. Then patch a few words together. And don't try to make them louder. This isn't a contest, but the doorway to thanks and the silence in which another voice we speak. Will the ushers now wait upon us? offertory prayer. We give thanks both for these gifts and the givers, and we ask that they use these gifts wisely and well, both to nurture the life of this congregation and to further the goals of justice and peace throughout the world.
In him was life, and the light was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it.
Joey, thank you for that reading, and choir, thanks so much for that music. I know whenever I went to church as a kid, which wasn't that often, the music was what I always remembered at the end of the service. So, as I think Kit mentioned, in keeping with our worship theme of living the questions, I asked our church families with young kids this week to pay extra attention to the questions that their kids were asking them, and if they heard a particularly good one, to send it my way. Not everyone wrote me back, but I know my email was being pondered and treasured deeply in your hearts during this vacation week chaos. This is actually a spiritual exercise I recommend to everyone who has a child in their life, a niece, a nephew, a grandkid. Try to keep a list of the questions you hear kids ask. Kit has been doing that on and off since Zoe was little, and we have this Google document now, which is like this amazing poem and spiritual treatise and stand-up comedy routine all at once. So I did want to start off my sermon by just reading a few of the questions that we received from families this weekend. I'm so excited. We have a few more questions up here. I encourage you to come look at them all after the service. These are some that we got. They're pretty amazing. What's it like to be a microbe? Where did the first humans come from? Where do we live before we become babies? Kids, we love your questions, even if sometimes our faces scrunch up and we can't give a satisfying answer all of the time. So many of your questions cut to the deepest mysteries of existence. And in that sense, I think they are spiritual questions, whether or not they mention God, whether or not they come in response to a religious teaching. Why are we here? Why is there this planet called Earth and a sun and asteroids spinning around and not usually colliding with each other? Why is there something rather than nothing? This week I read that our universe is 68% dark energy and 27% dark matter. There's so much we don't know. And yet at the same time, it feels more important than ever to offer our kids something to hold on to. There's so much we don't know, but we do have values. We know that life in all its diversity deserves to be honored. We know that every part of the world is connected, even if we can't always see it. And many of us have a faith. We have beliefs which try to pin words on the experiences we feel when we are praying next to somebody here in this space, or when we stop for a moment in the woods. For some of us, we use the word God. For some of us, Jesus. For some of us, spirit, or a Buddhist word, metta, which means loving kindness. And kids, while we can tell you what we think and sometimes what we believe, it's also important to us, maybe most important, that as you grow, that you find your own values and beliefs too. Spirituality is about coming fully alive. And as you grow, we hope that you will discover what brings you most alive. So today we heard two stories as our readings. One was a little bit long, one was really short. They were both creation stories, which means they were both stories that try to give some explanation for those big questions that I mentioned at the beginning. How did we get here? What are we meant to do in our time on earth? Seems like every culture, every group of people throughout time has produced their own versions of these creation stories. The first reading that Laura and Kit shared comes from one of the many Australian Aboriginal cultures in different parts of that continent. I love this idea of ancestors giving birth to the living things that we are among on this earth, from a tiny grub to a soaring eagle. Our family was in California last week, and right outside the front door where we were staying, I don't know if I should tell you this, it's going to make you jealous, but right outside the front door, there was a hummingbird's nest. Every time you opened the door, there was this little thrum of wings. Kids, does anyone know how many times per minute a hummingbird's heart beats? Any guess? 100? It's way more than 100. 1,200 times in 1 minute that little bird's heart is beating. Even human beings, even if we're running a race like the Scarecrow Classic, our hearts are only beating 160 times each minute. Let's turn to look at the cover of our bulletin now. Danny or Beckham, anybody want to say what animal this is? Seahorse, right? And can anybody tell me what the seahorse might be doing in this picture? Having babies. This picture was taken off the coast of South Korea. A photographer had to dive deep into the ocean at night just to observe this species. Here's what the photographer noticed. The seahorses who were interested in finding a mate would make eye contact with another seahorse. They would do a little seahorse dance. And then once the pair decided to mate, the seahorses who produce eggs give their eggs to the sperm-producing seahorses. These male seahorses carry the eggs in a pouch in their bellies for 3 to 10 weeks. Which probably doesn't sound like very much for those who have carried a human baby in this room. Eventually the seahorse goes into labor and the little baby seahorses come out still kind of curled up like you can see in that picture. Seahorses don't know about and they don't care about our categories of human gender. They're way beyond silly binaries. Kids, there's so much we don't know yet about this world that we share. There's so much we are just discovering. But if we can pay attention to the natural world, if we can appreciate it in its full diversity, then this first reading suggests we will find our place in it. We will make our ancestors proud. Our second reading that we heard a little bit of from Joey is another creation story. This one comes from the Gospel of John. Gospel, you might know, translates to good news. There's 4 of these little books at the beginning of the New Testament, which is the part of the Bible that's about Jesus. But John's gospel is a little different than the other 3. Instead of starting with Jesus' birth and the angels and the shepherds and Mary and Joseph and all those stories we hear about on Christmas, John's gospel goes all the way back in time. In the beginning was the Word, John says, and the Word was God. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. It's a very beautiful sentence. I'm not going to try to explain that one for us today. But the part that Joey read for us is a little easier to understand. In him, in Jesus, was life. And the life was the light of all people. I would add the life was the light of all living creatures, the hummingbird and the seahorse as well. And kids, the next line is my favorite. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Can we all say that together? The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. There's so much we don't know. There's so many questions we can't answer for you, but we do know that our job here on this earth, using whatever gifts we have been given, is to keep the light shining. To keep the light shining even when darkness seems really close. These days there are powerful forces trying to overcome the light. There's medicine not getting to people who need it because of programs that our government has cut. There are kids and teenagers who are scared to live as themselves because of restrictions around gender that our leaders are putting into place. There are scientists whose research is in jeopardy, and a military leader who was just fired seemingly because he spoke out about his experiences as a black man living in America. There are immigrant families being put in jail. And because we have these Gospels, because we have these 4 little books that tell us a lot about Jesus' life, we know that he is not okay with any of that. In fact, Jesus told us very clearly that however we treat the most vulnerable around us, that is how we are treating God. When our teenagers collect clothes for unhoused folks through City Reach, when we visit prisoners at Shirley each month, When we give up some of our income to support a church that gives money to an immigration nonprofit, that is our chance to show how we want to treat God. In both of the creation stories we read today, we heard about how difficult and how marvelous it was to build this world that we get to call home. We heard how many, many kinds of creatures exist alongside of us, and we heard how forces exist too which threaten this life, which is the light of all creatures. But let me end with a reason for hope. The light shines on, John says. Kids, the light shines on in you. It shines on in you whatever grades you're getting right now. It shines on in you whether or not you cleaned your room this weekend. It shines on in you whether that last post you made got enough likes. And you know what? The light shines on in your parents, a little sleep deprived and maybe behind on work at the end of a vacation week. It shines on in your grandparents, balancing friendships and travel and new health realities. In case you didn't notice, we don't have all the answers. But on our best days, we can join you in searching for the best questions. We're going to end now by singing this old song, which is full of questions. Some of you might have heard it before. It was written kind of a long time ago by a guy who was very young at the time, but when he wrote it, there was a lot going on in the world, just as there is today. Every time I listen to this song, it comforts me, not because it has all the answers, but because, like you all, it is asking the right questions. Let us rise and sing together.
Would you now please join me in our call to ministry? We go forth from the worship of God to be faithful to the vision of Jesus, to affirm each person's dignity, and to cherish the living earth.
Friends, I want to thank you so much for being with us on this special Sunday. We hope you'll join us for coffee and snacks through those doors. But now listen for these words of blessing. May we go forth, never forgetting how unlikely it is to be here at all. And may we go forth to keep the light shining. Amen. So you may be seated just one more time, and we're going to move into our announcements now. I'll kick things off by inviting you after coffee hour to stick around for the forum that we have planned today. It's a chance to hear about this amazing program called Partakers. We have 20 people already involved in the program. We're hoping to get a few more signed up or at least interested. This is a chance to become a mentor to a college student who is an inmate at a local prison and build an amazing relationship. You'll get a chance to hear about what that opportunity entails at our forum today. We hope you can join us. Saturday night, March 1st, is our talent show. I know we have amazing acts planned. It's going to be up the hill in the parish house. Anything else to say about that?
It's at 7 o'clock. It's free. Invite your friends. It was an amazing show last year. We're trying to make this a tradition for the First Parish, and I know some of you have hidden talents. It's not too late to email me and put yourself on the list. 5 minutes each. 5 minutes each.
Not too late to sign up, and if you don't sign up, please come and watch and participate. And then next Sunday, we're really excited to welcome our guest speaker and guest preacher, Greg Epstein. Greg is the humanist chaplain, committed atheist, who works at Harvard University and MIT. And we're going to hear a sermon from Greg, and he's going to offer a forum where he talks about his new book, which is about how technology might have become the new religion of our lives and some of the challenges. And Liz is holding up the book right now, and I know about 30 of us have ordered the book, which is amazing. If you ordered a copy, you can get your copy. They're actually in the robing room today. So stop by the robing room and just sign your name off the list. Pick up your copy today or from Sylvia throughout the week. That's all from me. What other announcements do we have this morning?
Good morning. My name is Tom de Normandy. Good morning. My name is still Tom de Normandy. And I have two announcements about a new initiative that I've gotten involved in called the First Parish Artists Project. And what it's about is hanging some of the art that we all have created, First Parish members, in the Stearns Room. It gives it a little bit of local color, but just like the talents of the talent show and the Lenten booklet and so many other things, the small groups and others. It's one more way to kind of share who we are through the art that we make. And so. First announcement is we have 5 pieces that are actually posted or hung in the Stearns Room. We have paintings from Joan Mansfield, Paula Waterman, Kate Damon. We have a photograph from David Elms and a print of a bee from Sarah Cannon Holdit. So I hope you'll all go in and just check those out during the coffee hour. And then the second announcement is that the art is really of us, and so I hope all of you aspiring printers, painters, watercolors, whatever your medium is, I hope you'll think about contributing it. And so youngsters, I see you all here, and your art also would be very welcome, and we'd really love to see it. So you could reach out to me at tomdenormandy@gmail.com. It's all one word, and otherwise just check me out. Thanks. Look forward to it.
Morning, Barbara Slater. Several of us are going this afternoon to the Harvey Wheeler Community Center in West Concord to hear a talk by the director of the International Institute of New England, which is an organization with a long track record of working with refugees and immigrants and helping to settle them in. The topic today is how can we in Massachusetts protect our immigrant community. There's also going to be an opportunity to write letters to our state representatives and to take some goods and supplies if we wish. There's a bit in the Pursuing Justice newsletter about it, but I'd be happy to talk to people who might be interested in joining at the coffee hour.
Good morning, Doug Crosby here for Outreach. And much like Nate, we don't have answers, we have questions. Our congregation has been very giving over the years, and we're in the process in Outreach of determining what we can do that would be an appropriate help this Easter season. And the needs or the opportunity to make a change have never been greater. Our challenge is finding what we can do that's really the best thing for all. And so we share this because everybody in this church is involved in some way in the community, and we really want to get as much input as we can get from our parishioners, from our members. So as we meet in another week and we're talking and looking at all these different opportunities, we hear people, and the more we know from folks involved right here in our community, I think the better job we can do. So I want to encourage you to find me. We've also got a number of us from Outreach who happen to be here today. Larry Buell's over there. Deanna is here. Barbara, Paul Waterman is in front of me. So raise your hand just for a second so everybody knows where you are. Thank you for taking the time to really think about this. Let's see if we can make a difference together.
Hi, Dave Elliott. I just wanted to add to what Nate said about the partakers meeting that's happening in the Stearns Room. We are being joined today by 3 of our mentees that have been paroled, including the one that Liz and Ben and Nancy and I have been privileged to get to know over the last year. And he will be speaking with 2 other men today. So it's really quite a special gathering today. So please join us.
Ben Wells on behalf of the Atheists and Other Seekers group. We will be meeting on Thursday. We don't have the answers, but it's a place to bring your questions and perhaps hear how other people are dealing with them. And we'll also have a couple of things to read by Greg Epstein in preparation for his sermon on Sunday.
This Tuesday, join Kit and I for the first of 3 sessions on exploring the women mystics of the Christian medieval tradition. We'll be on Zoom starting at 7:30. The link to register to receive the Zoom link is in the weekly news brief. And if you don't receive the weekly news brief, send an email to me, sarah@fplincoln.org.
As I was walking through the Lexington Road Cemetery again, a ghost rose from the grave. Could have been the Holy Ghost. And the ghost said, "Protest, protest, protest." And then as the snowflakes gently washed my cheeks, the ghost melted away.
Hi, everyone. 2 things really quick. In the kids' bulletins, there was lots of activities. I have prizes if you want to see me at the coffee hour. But also at 11:30, we're going to, or sooner if you guys head up the hill, kids, if you want to be in the talent show and you don't know what to do, any age are welcome. We're gonna try and organize a little something. So meet me up at the parish house if you want to be in the talent show.
Fun. All right. Is everybody okay with the announcements being over? I think they are. May we go in peace.